Hi everybody, welcome back to Bustling Home. As you can imagine, I get a lot of comments about my 3 sets of twins under 4 years old. And I don't blame people for that. It's pretty unusual. And we make quite a spectacle whenever we go out. It's more of an invasion than a visit anywhere we go. One of the most common types of questions I get is, how do you do it? You must have your hands full. I don't know how you do it. Well, it's not like I have much of a choice at this point. I'm sort of committed. I don't think that's a helpful answer though. It's not really what they're looking for. Realistically, I have no simple answer to how I do it. I just figure it out. Day by day, minute by minute sometimes. It depends on how it goes. With that said, I do have 10 tips for anyone who's struggling to adjust to being a stay-at-home mom or taking care of a bunch of kids, or even just a couple kids. Number 1 is draw up some lists. I love lists. They save me so much time and so much effort thinking. I make routine lists, I make packing lists, I make chore lists, I make phone number lists, everything, almost anything can be turned into a list. For example, I posted my morning nap time and bedtime to-do lists. I printed the lists with check boxes and then put them in page protectors so that I can take one of those wet erase markers from the overheads that you used to see them in school on the overhead projectors. And I can check off the items as I do them each day and then erase it at the end of the day and start over the next day. My days are fairly repetitive with the kids. I also made a packing list for the diaper bag to help me avoid forgetting things. It would be really hard if we were out and say I forgot to put the wipes back into the diaper bag, or maybe I forgot to replenish the plastic bags for dirty diapers. So I have nowhere to put this dirty diaper I just took off of the kid. As far as a list of babysitters, I put them all into my phone directory, and every babysitter has the last name babysitter. So if I'm looking for a babysitter, I just search on my phone for babysitter and they all pop up. My second tip is to design routines. Again, this is avoiding the day-to-day thinking of what do we do next, what should we do? And it gives the kids a little bit of guidance as to how their day is going to go so they know what to expect too. And it's much easier to handle this number of kids, or any number of kids for that matter, if they know what to expect. This also helps if I have a sick kid, or if I'm sick, or if I just didn't sleep well overnight, say somebody was sick overnight. Drawing together number 1 and 2 for my routines, I document my routines. And I lay out an approximate timetable and keep that up to date on my computer just in case I'm not available. If we have to get a babysitter for some reason, I can just hand them the schedule and say, try to stick to this more or less. The times aren't terribly important, but try to get most of the elements in the correct order so that the kids are comfortable with what's happening. This was particularly useful when I was in the hospital giving birth to Misha and Gabe, my 3rd set of twins. We had at least 7 people coming over to fill all the daytime and nighttime slots for the 2 or 3 days I was in the hospital. Mostly because if we had one person too much for all 4 kids and anybody got acted up because I was away, they just need a break. I don't want to put somebody here for 8 hours on end. It also helped me be calmer in the hospital, and they knew all the people that were taking care of them. They'd met all of them and worked with them before. My 3rd tip is to prepare anything you can ahead of time. I'm still working on this one. I try to do things like prepare their milk sippies for first thing in the morning the night before, fill them up and put them in the fridge. I try to have some idea of what I'm doing for breakfast the next day. Maybe I'll think of lunch, dinner, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing for dinner the next day usually. As I said, I need to work on this. If the kids are going out the next day, I'll try to make sure that the diaper bag is stocked, make sure I have formula and bottles and diapers all in there for the kids to go, say, to the YMCA Child Watch. Again, with my diaper bag packing list, this is another way to make sure that when anybody leaves the house with the kids, we don't forget something important, like bottles to feed the babies. The biggest thing I think I'd like to improve on in this area of preparing things ahead of time is doing some meal planning and bulk cooking. I have all the ideas on how to do it, and I have a meal plan written up. I just lack the time and organization to get it pulled together. If anybody has tips on how you finally did that with a whole bunch of little kids running around and not much free time, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know how you do it. My fourth tip is to accept that I can't help everyone all the time. I have 6 kids. I might have 3 of them screaming for something or asking for more water, or maybe a baby needs a diaper and a big kid wants more water and another big kid wants more craisins. I can't be everywhere at the same time, and I only have 2 hands. I can't do everything at the same time. So somebody is just going to have to wait sometimes, and they might be unhappy about it, so it might get loud. That's just how it is. The way I deal with this is I try to prioritize what is the most urgent and think about how much time each task will take. So if somebody needs a diaper change and the babies need to be fed, then I will change somebody's diaper before I feed the babies, even if the babies are sitting in their chairs screaming, because it's probably going to take about 20 minutes to feed the babies, and the other person, it's not fair to make them wait 20 minutes just to get a new diaper. I mean, that'll take like a minute or 2. Once I accepted that I couldn't do everything for everyone all the time, I became much less stressed and much happier with my situation. My 5th tip is don't stop moving. For one thing, if I stop moving, I'm probably going to fall asleep. Or I'm going to get tired and get crabby at least. That being said, I don't stop moving, but I try not to run at a breakneck pace all day. I don't want to burn out by, say, nap time and then have nothing left for the evening. Because being a mom is not a 40-hour-a-week job, if you hadn't noticed. It's all the time. So, on to point number 6. I put my coffee or tea in a travel mug. I particularly like my Contigo travel mug because it doesn't leak and it keeps things hot all day. I mean, even by the time Jeff gets out of work, my tea will still be at least warm. It's not cold sitting on the counter that I have to microwave it and then forget it's in the microwave and do that about 5 times in a day and still not drink more than half a cup of tea. Tip number 7 is that I try to treat this as a profession. I spent 10 years in college with the idea that I was going to become a professional in my field. Obviously, my plans changed. I had 1 set of twins by IVF, and I still had 12 embryos left. Our plan currently is to give all of them a chance at life. That means we may end up with 14 children at the rate we're going. That's a lot of kids. Paying for daycare, even for the 6 that I have, would probably cost more than any salary I could earn, even given that I have 2 master's degrees and a PhD. Now, in order to treat this like my profession, I read a lot of articles online about tips and tricks, like this one, good job. This is a good start to being a professional mom. And I take what I think will be useful and leave the rest. Nobody has the answer for your kids. You are the expert on your kids, just like I'm the expert on my kids. I can't tell you that all of these tips are going to work for you, but it's totally worth it if you find some little bit of utility in what I'm saying. I'm constantly tweaking my routines to see if I can make them work better. Maybe I'll move nap half an hour later or move lunch half an hour earlier if the kids are getting hungry too early. I try to schedule meetings for us, which in the context of being a mom, it's not a meeting in the boardroom. It's putting the kids in the van and going to the grocery store to pick up milk and eggs and cheese and whatever else we need for the week. Or it might be a play date at the playground, or somebody's coming over here for a play date. I just have some sort of events to break up the days with the kids, and they love doing different things as long as it fits within their routine. If we completely throw out the routine, then things get a little bit hairy, and I just hope that the next day's routine gets it back on track. I highly recommend the book titled Professionalizing Motherhood. I'll post a link down below. That book helped me so much with my mindset after having the first set of twins and then the second set of twins even. I intended to stay home after the first set of twins were born, but it became apparent within probably a couple of weeks that that just wasn't going to work for me. So I went back to work, the twins went to daycare, and they stayed in daycare until we moved out of Illinois. The second set of twins, we planned very early on to put them in daycare right away, and we were very lucky that the home daycare we were using happened to have 2 infant slots open at the time that Liam and Maggie were born. So we got to have all 4 of our kids in a home daycare that was only about half a mile from our house. We were so lucky in that situation. The home daycare both saved us money and saved us time driving the kids somewhere. We knew the specific people that would be taking care of our kids day in, day out. Anyhow, professionalizing motherhood is full of great tips for changing your mindset and finding value in what can seem like monotony every day, and the struggle to keep your head above water. My 8th tip is to enlist help. Either paid help, family help, maybe you exchange help with a mom friend so that they watch your kids sometimes and you watch their kids sometimes so that you can each get a break. Or maybe join a gym with childcare, like YMCAs are great for that, usually. Some of them are kind of expensive. Our local YMCA allows 3 hours per day, any number of kids, and it is $15 per month flat fee. It is the best value in childcare that I have ever seen. We also have a list of paid babysitters at various levels. Some are more mother's helpers. Some can take on 4 kids, and we recently have formed teams of 2 babysitters. They can take all 6 kids, so Jeff and I both get a complete break. Paid babysitters can be pretty expensive depending on the number of kids and where you live, so that might not be an option for everyone, which is why I would suggest something like maybe a gym membership that has unlimited childcare or cheap childcare, or maybe find a mom's group that you can exchange childcare with mom friends, even just setting up play dates so that you have somebody else with eyes on your kids so you can relax a little bit and you are not the sole person responsible for them. Aside from childcare, if you're having trouble keeping up with household tasks like cleaning or lawn care, it's also possible to hire out someone for that. Kids have to grow up in a community, and I highly encourage you to find your community. My 9th tip is to lower your expectations and be flexible, especially if you're having twins. They don't have to match. As long as the clothes are on them and keep them warm and they're fairly clean, I mean, they're going to spit up down the arm and whatever. Especially for new parents, you can have an idea of what kind of parent you would like to be, but don't be too stuck on it. I wanted to be the breastfeeding, baby-wearing, make your own baby food, stay-at-home mom for my first set of twins. That's just not me. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to go back and I wanted to write about science. I wanted to program computers. I wanted to have my adult time during the day and then come home and enjoy my kids. By 2 months old, my kids were in daycare. They wore Huggies instead of the cloth diapers I thought I'd use. They rode in a stroller, and I was back at work. And I'm fine with that. For a while, I felt some guilt over giving up breastfeeding because I bottle feed my kids full time from the moment they're born. Whatever works to keep your baby healthy and keep mom healthy, because keep in mind that baby needs a healthy mom too. The mom needs to be healthy mentally and healthy physically to take care of the baby. It's not all about the baby. Point number 10 is I engineer time to take care of myself. I still struggle with finding time for myself with 6 kids and a husband who works full time, and we run a side business. In my experience, kids highlight your worst moments. If I'm frustrated, the kids are going to reflect that back at me. If I'm happy, the kids are more likely to reflect that back at me. I can't guarantee it because they're 2 and 3 years old. Sometimes they're just going to be frustrated all on their own. My most important self-care involves food, sleep, and exercise. Possibly some caffeine along the way. That helps. When it comes to food, I try to eat balanced meals with a lot of protein, a fair amount of fat, and not too many carbs. It's not really a trendy diet, it's just that's what's good for doing weightlifting or the type of exercise that I tend to do. I also try to put a lot of vegetables on my plate, not specifically because they're healthy, but I just think they're good. Especially roasted vegetables. Take some Brussels sprouts or a mix of broccoli and cauliflower and carrots. toss it in some olive oil, salt, and thyme, and then throw it in the oven for an hour and let it burn. Usually around 425 or 450 Fahrenheit works. I'd like to exercise more often, I'd like to cook more, I'd like to try more new recipes, but that's just not the season of life I'm in right now. That can wait until the kids get a little bit older, or maybe I can find bits and pieces of time here and there where I can do that. Let me know what your self-care looks like in the comments below. One last tip, a bonus 11th tip. Don't try to have it all at once. Make sure that you focus on something and do it well. I can't imagine trying to be a full-time professional, advancing my career, and raising my kids the way I think they should be raised all at the same time. Right now, while my kids are little, I want to make sure that they are starting off on the right foot in life, and that they are learning the values that I want them to learn. After they're maybe 4 or 5 years old, some habits are going to be really hard to change. You have an entire lifetime. Choose what's most important to you right now. Well, thank you for stopping by again. I hope you found some of these tips useful. If you'd like to know more about any of them, or if you have any of your own tips, leave them in the comment below. Please join me on Instagram and Facebook under Bustling Home and on bustlinghome.com at my blog. See you next time.